Back on ABC24 this week talking about the Tigers, and that's why we're saving Otis to go first on this one. The decision not to join the Pac-12, fans are just in an uproar over it. And Ed Scott, the new athletic director, has been very forthcoming as to why that decision was made. In fact, I've been very impressed with the way he's responded to this so far. In fact, here's one soundbite from earlier this week.
So I think sometimes we get enamored by the new and we want to take a bad deal. And that deal was not a good deal for the University of Memphis. It certainly wasn't a good deal for our athletic department. And most importantly, it was a really, really bad deal for our Olympic sports.
Otis, we're told that all of the coaches were asked what they thought. None of them thought it was a good idea. Right. And there are financial reasons, too. I'll let you go ahead and explain why you think maybe the university made the right decision.
And the president didn't think it was a good idea. And of course, full disclosure, I worked there for 12 and a half years as a journalist.
So you're a Tigers fan. We know that.
I'm a Tiger fan, yes. Blue and blue. But let's be honest here. I thought Ed Scott did a wonderful job of explaining why this is a terrible deal. We're talking about a university that is in Memphis, Tennessee, going to a conference where most of the other participants are on the West Coast, and some of them are far West Coast, like Washington State and Oregon State and San Diego State. And
not much rivalry potential there either.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And plus, it would cost a fortune to get, we're not talking about basketball and football, but what about soccer and volleyball and golf and all those other sports? It was cost prohibitive, and I think that Ed Scott did a great job of explaining that, and all of the people on social media who were grousing and complaining, they were looking at Pac-12. Well, the Pac-12 is not what the Pac-12 used to be, and I think they made a wise decision.
Well, you know, I think, again, transparency matters here, and when he said that the Pac-12 conference was only willing to foot $2.5 million of the $25 million exit fee to leave the ACC, AAC, excuse me, that, you know, that speaks volumes right there. That's a lot of money.
Plus, you can't leave for another 27 months, as I understand.
Yep.
And that would have been beyond a timeline to get there. It was just a bad deal.
Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it was certainly, we're talking about a lot of money here as well, you know, and only $2.5 million. And how do you fund, you know, because the university still has to fundraise the remaining portion of the Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium renovations. And so you're going to those same donors, as Tim Buckley and the Daily Memphian pointed out. You're going to those same donors and saying, hey, do you want to take us to the Pac-12, the fake Pac-12, or do you want to renovate the stadium? And David Cobb, who used to cover the Grizzlies for the Commercial Appeal, now writes for CBS Sports, he had a great tweet, and I'm paraphrasing him here, but he was like, they were in the 07 Civic, and they looked under the hood of the 05 Camry and said, oh, we'll stick in the 07 Civic, because that's really what this is.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's very well put. What are your thoughts, Mark?
I say go Tigers.
Well, you know, not every school can be courted by the SEC like Missouri Tigers were, for example, right, Sam? I mean, there are those examples.
Well, I did graduate from Ole Miss.
That's right.
So I'm in the SEC there, but my love is at the U of M, though.
But we do talk about, I think what's so hard about it for fans is we've been courting some sort of imitation from somebody, Big 12 and all the others, over years and years and years, as long as I've been in Memphis, and nothing's ever come to fruition. But now, at least, there is this huge investment we're seeing in the football stadium and other projects, too, that maybe give hope that someone will find a reason to entertain.
And the athletic director the other day did not shut down the door to any change. He left that open, maybe even to the Pac-12, although I don't think that's going to happen. So this is not a totally off-the-table deal to go to another conference. This just was not the right move. And the other schools that they wanted to recruit, like Tulane and UT San Antonio in South Florida, they agreed and said, no, thank you.
And let's talk about the importance of TV revenue here. Sam, one thing that I know concerned Ed Scott was that was very unclear how much the schools were going to benefit from that, and that's an important piece of the pie too.
Yeah, it's a huge part of the pie. You know, as it's been reported that, you know, the two maybe original members of the Pac-12, I don't know if it's confirmed, but like any Pac-12 money from the college football playoff might have gone to those members and not necessarily to the University of Memphis if, you know, you get to the college football playoff. And so, like, really, you know, to your point, Richard, about as long as you've been here, like, really everything we talked about today is generational decisions that happened 10, 15, 20 years ago that are impacting what's happening today, whether it's the Sheridan, whether we're talking about college sports here. Like, it's Why didn't you build an on-campus stadium 20, 30 years ago when it would have been a lot cheaper? You would have paid it off by now, and maybe you're in that new conference. Maybe looking under the hood at MATA could have happened 5, 10 years ago. Could have been a sustainable system, right? Like all these things could have happened.
And hotels too,
that's a
especially a
good
convention center hotel, they, by practice, are usually renovated every 5 years just because you want to keep them up to date. They're very important. They're a centerpiece for your city. They're the hotel of choice when conventions come, and they've let it get to where it is and not stepping in until now we're in this kind of crisis situation in all three things.
Well, it used to be I think it was built as a Crown Plaza, I believe.
Yeah, it was originally Crown Plaza, yeah.
And so, I mean, nobody has really put a whole lot of emphasis in that hotel over the last 20 years in my mind.
But a year ago, they were talking about building a second tower of another 600 rooms.
Yeah.
I don't know what to make of it. But we'll be following all three of these stories, folks, I promise you. My thanks to my three panelists here for being here today and offering their insight. We appreciate it. And my thanks to you at home. We will see you next week for ABC24 This Week.